Move him now, Janice says, one hand on her stomach. Not your decision, the man replies, voice cold. The Florida hospital lobby buzzes at 9:12 a.m. A stretcher waits. A man bleeds. Phones start rising. He needs that room, Janice says. My client goes first, the Russian billionaire says. Janice steps closer. Not over a dying man. Staff freeze. No one steps in. He studies her. You think your badge gives you authority? I know my duty does, she replies. Silence drops. His hand lifts. The slap cracks across her face. Gasps spread. A nurse backs away. Janice stumbles, then steadies, one hand still protecting her stomach. The man adjusts his sleeve like nothing happened. Then a voice cuts through the tension. Step away from her. The billionaire turns slowly, and for the first time, he doesn't look in control. Who just spoke? Before the story continues, let me greet you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Stories like this travel across many cities and many lives. So before we begin, take a second and tell me where you are watching from. I enjoy seeing how far our community reaches. If you enjoy powerful stories about choices, relationships, and life lessons, please subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next one. Who said that? The billionaire snaps, turning fast. Shoes step across the tile, slow, measured, not rushed. The crowd parts without being told. Phones tilt toward the new arrival. Janice keeps her balance, breathing tight, one hand still on her stomach. Her cheek burns, but she doesn't look away. The man steps forward, tall, calm, eyes locked on the billionaire. I said it, he replies, voice steady, no fear. The billionaire scoffs. This is not your business. The man stops 2 steps away. Close enough. It became mine the second you touched her. Murmurs ripple. Staff exchange looks. The billionaire smirks. Do you know who I am? The man doesn't blink. I don't care who you are. That lands harder than the slap. Security hesitates at the edge of the scene. Janice looks between them. Something shifts. Why isn't this man backing down? Get security, the billionaire says, not taking his eyes off the man. No one moves. The man steps closer. Call them. I'll wait. That confidence spreads through the room. Phones rise higher. Janice watches him now. Something about him feels controlled, trained. The billionaire laughs once. You think you can threaten me here? I don't threaten, the man says. I act. That line lands. Hard. A nurse whispers, who is he? The billionaire's smile fades. Last warning. Walk away. The man reaches into his jacket. Several people gasp. Security finally starts moving in. The billionaire straightens. Good. Handle him. The man pulls something out. Not a weapon. A badge. He flips it open, holds it steady. The air changes instantly. Security slows. Stops. The billionaire's eyes narrow. Janice blinks. What did he just show them? The badge catches the overhead light. Clean. Official. Security stops mid-step. Step back, one guard mutters, lowering his hand. The billionaire squints. What is that supposed to be? The man keeps it steady. Enough. A doctor leans closer, eyes widening. Wait, that's federal. Murmurs rise again. Janice studies the badge, then his face. Her breathing slows, but the tension stays tight in her chest. The billionaire scoffs. You expect me to be impressed? I expect you to listen, the man replies. Silence presses in. A phone camera zooms closer. The billionaire's tone sharpens. You walk into my hospital and give orders? Your hospital? The man repeats. Calm. That question hangs heavy. The crowd shifts. Janice's eyes flick between them. Something isn't adding up. The man lowers the badge slightly. Then he says, quiet and clear, you picked the wrong person today. What does he mean by that? Careful, the billionaire says, voice tightening. You're overstepping. The man takes one final step forward, close enough to lower his voice. No, he says. You did. The billionaire's jaw locks. You don't know who you're dealing with. The man finally looks at Janice, checks her face, her hand on her stomach. His expression hardens. Then he turns back. You're right, he says. I know exactly who I'm dealing with. That line cuts deeper than before. A nurse whispers, "What's going on?" No one answers. The billionaire glances at the cameras around them, at the crowd, at the badge. For the first time, doubt flickers. The man speaks again, slow, controlled. "You touched her in public." A pause, and now everyone will see what happens next. Janice exhales slowly. The room holds its breath, because whatever comes next is about to change everything. "Janice, we need you in ER now," a nurse calls out. Janice moves fast, one hand steady on her stomach, the other pushing open the doors. This is 7:05 a.m. Same hospital, hours before the slap. Machines beep. A child cries. A doctor snaps orders. Janice steps in and takes control. Vitals first. "Keep him stable. I need space." The room shifts around her. People listen. A junior nurse hesitates, but management said, "I said stabilize him." Janice cuts in. Calm, firm. No one argues again. She checks the monitor, adjusts the line, speaks low to the patient. "Stay with me. You're not going anywhere." The chaos tightens, then follows her rhythm. Across the room, two staff whisper, "That's her again." She doesn't bend. Janice hears it, ignores it, because in this hospital, one rule matters. Patients first, but not everyone agrees with that rule. Who keeps pushing against her? "Clear this room." Now, a voice orders from the doorway. Heads turn. A tall man steps in, suit sharp, eyes cold. Two aides follow behind him. Janice doesn't look up. "We're in the middle of treatment." The man walks closer. "You're in the middle of my schedule." That lands wrong. A doctor steps forward. "Sir, this is critical." "I didn't ask you." He cuts in. Silence spreads again. Janice finishes adjusting the line, then finally looks at him. "Who are you?" One aide answers fast. "Mr. Arkady Volkov, board investor." The name shifts the room. Janice holds his gaze. "Then you should know how this works." Volkov smiles slightly. "I decide how things work." He points at the patient. "Move him." "I need the room." Janice steps between them. "No." A few staff glance down. No one backs her. Volkov's smile fades. Why is she the only one saying no? "Move," Volkov says. Voice low now. Janice doesn't shift. He stays. The monitor beeps faster. The patient coughs. Volkov glances at the screen, then back at her. "You're risking my client." Janice answers fast. "Your client can wait." That word hits. Wait. One aide steps forward. "You don't understand who you're speaking to." Janice doesn't look at him. "I understand who needs care first." A doctor clears his throat. "Maybe we can find another room." "There is no other room," Janice says. Firm. Volkov studies her face. No fear, no apology. He steps closer. Close enough for only her to hear. "You're making a mistake." Janice leans in slightly. "No, you are." That lands. Across the room, someone quietly shuts the door. No one wants to be seen in this moment, because this is no longer about a patient. So what happens when power gets challenged? "Finish up," Volkov says, stepping back. "You have 5 minutes." Janice doesn't answer. She keeps working. The room moves faster. Hands tighten. Eyes avoid his. One nurse whispers, "He can shut this place down." Janice hears it. Keeps going. Suction. Now, Volkov checks his watch. 7:12 a.m. Each second stretches. A senior doctor walks in, tension clear on his face. "Mr. Volkov, we can arrange." "I already gave instructions," Volkov says. The doctor looks at Janice, then away. That choice says everything. Janice locks in, adjusts pressure, stabilizes the patient. Vitals holding. Someone says. Relief tries to enter the room. Volkov cuts it off. "Time's up." Janice doesn't move. "You heard me," he adds. She finally turns. Slow, direct. "No, I didn't agree." The doctor exhales sharply. Volkov's expression hardens. He steps forward again. What does he do when someone refuses twice? Volkov stops inches from her. "You like saying no." Janice meets his eyes. "I like saving lives." The room tightens again. He glances at the chart. then at the staff. You all answer to me. No one responds. Janice steps aside just enough to check the patient. And I answer to this. The monitor steadies. Volkov watches her, then nods once to his aide. Document this, he says. The aide pulls out a tablet. A nurse whispers, he's building a case. Janice hears it. Still doesn't back down. Volkov straightens his sleeve. Calm returns to his face, but it feels forced. This isn't over, he says. Janice replies without hesitation. It is for him. She nods at the patient. That choice draws a line. Volkov turns to leave, but not before looking back once. And in that look, there's something new. What is he planning next? Where is my room? Volkov asks as he enters the lobby. It's 8:03 a.m. The hospital is fuller now. More eyes, more pressure. Janice stands at the front desk, reviewing charts. She doesn't look up. Occupied, she says. Volkov stops in front of her. Clear it. Janice flips a page. Emergency cases come first. His aide leans in. You were warned earlier. Janice finally meets his eyes. And I meant what I said. A few patients glance over. Staff slow down, pretending not to listen. Volkov lowers his voice. You're delaying a high-profile client. Janice answers without pause. I'm treating critical patients. That line splits the room. Volkov smiles, but it's tight. You're choosing this? Janice nods once. Every time. A receptionist quietly steps back. The space between them feels smaller now, because this is no longer private. So what happens when he decides to push harder? Then you won't mind the consequences, Volkov says, voice low. Janice sets the chart down. If that's what it takes. That answer spreads through the lobby. A patient nearby whispers, did she just say that? Volkov steps closer. You're not thinking clearly. I am, Janice replies. That's the problem. His aide leans in again. You're risking your position. Janice doesn't flinch. I'm doing my job. A doctor approaches, nervous. Maybe we should de-escalate. Volkov raises a hand. The doctor stops mid-sentence. That control is obvious. Volkov looks at Janice. I can replace you in minutes. Janice answers fast. You can't replace experience. That lands harder than expected. The crowd grows. Phones appear again. Volkov's eyes narrow. You're making this public. Janice glances around. You already did. Silence presses in. Because now there are witnesses. So, how far is he willing to go? Volkov glances at the cameras, then back at Janice. Turn them off, he tells security. No one moves. Janice folds her arms. Let them record. That challenges him in a new way. A guard shifts. Sir, hospital policy. I set policy. Volkov cuts in. A patient nearby coughs hard. A monitor alarm sounds from the hallway. Janice turns halfway. Room 3. Needs attention. Stay, Volkov says. She doesn't. Janice steps toward the hallway. 2 nurses follow her lead. Volkov's voice sharpens. I said, stay. Janice keeps walking. I heard you. That refusal lands in front of everyone. Volkov moves after her. Faster now. You walk away again. You're done. Janice stops at the doorway, half turned. Then say it clearly, she says. The corridor goes quiet. Volkov closes the distance. If you leave, he says, you're fired. Janice looks at the patient, then at him. Which one does she choose? Janice steps into the hallway. I choose him, she says, already moving. The alarm grows louder. The patient struggles to breathe. Airway kit, Janice calls out. A nurse rushes it over. Hands shake. Behind her, Volkov stops at the doorway, watching. You just ended your career, he says. Janice doesn't look back. Not today. She works fast, adjusts the mask, checks the line. Stay with me, she tells the patient. The monitor steadies slightly. Volkov steps closer again. You think this saves you? Janice answers while working. It saves him. That answer hits different now. A doctor whispers, we should intervene. No, another says, let this play out. That choice spreads tension further. Volkov's patience cracks. Enough. He steps forward again, closer than before, too close. What does he do when control slips again? Volkov reaches for the chart in Janice's hand. "Step aside," he says. Janice pulls it back. "Don't touch my patient." That line lands in the hallway. A nurse freezes mid-step. Volkov's tone sharpens. "You don't give orders to me." Janice meets him head on. "Here, I do." That draws a line no one expected. The patient gasps again. The monitor spikes. Janice moves fast. "Increase oxygen." Now. Two nurses follow instantly. Volkov watches, not used to being ignored. His aide leans in. "We can remove her." Volkov doesn't answer right away. He studies Janice, focused, unshaken. Then he speaks, quieter now, controlled. "This is your last chance." Janice doesn't stop working. "You already had yours." That closes the door. Volkov steps back slightly, but his eyes stay locked on her. Because now, this isn't just defiance. So what does he plan next? Janice, office. Now, the supervisor says. Janice removes her gloves slowly. The patient stabilizes behind her. She walks out of the room. Eyes follow her. The door shuts behind her in the small office. 8:27 a.m. The supervisor doesn't sit. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." Janice stands still. "I treated a critical case." "You challenged a board investor," the supervisor replies. That shift changes everything. Janice folds her arms. "I did my job." The supervisor exhales. "You need to cooperate." "With what?" Janice asks. "With reality," he says. Silence stretches. A phone buzzes on the desk. The supervisor checks it, then looks up. "They're watching this closely," he adds. Janice catches that word. "They? Who is they?" she asks. The supervisor hesitates. That hesitation says enough. Janice's jaw tightens. Because this just got bigger. So how many people are already against her? "Go home for the rest of the day," the supervisor says. Janice doesn't move. "I'm scheduled till 4. "Not anymore," he replies. That hits like a quiet warning. Janice studies him. "Is this disciplinary?" He looks away. "It's preventative." "For who?" she asks. He doesn't answer. Janice steps closer. "Say it clearly." The supervisor lowers his voice. "You're drawing attention." Janice nods once. "Because I refused him." The door handle shifts. Someone pauses outside, listening. The supervisor notices. "Keep your voice down." Janice doesn't. "Or what?" He exhales sharply. "Or this escalates." That word lands heavy. Janice grabs her badge. It already has. She turns for the door. "Janice," he calls. She stops, but doesn't look back. "You don't understand how far this goes." Janice answers. "Steady." "Then I guess I'm about to." Who's pushing from behind the scenes? Janice steps into the hallway. Conversations stop. Two nurses look away fast. "She's the one." Someone whispers. "Yeah, the one who said no." That label sticks. Janice keeps walking. Head up. Pace steady. At the nurse's station, a chart disappears the moment she reaches for it. "Sorry. Reassigned." A staff member mutters. "By who?" Janice asks. No answer. Another nurse leans close. "You should lay low." Janice pulls the chart anyway. "I don't hide." A phone rings behind the desk. The caller ID shows admin. No one picks up. Down the hall, a man in a suit stands still, watching, not hospital staff. Janice notices him. He doesn't look away. That feels different. She turns a corner. He moves too. Janice stops. So does he. No badge, no smile. Just watching. Who is he reporting to? Janice steps into the break room and shuts the door. Silence hits. For the first time all morning. She leans on the counter. Breath steady, but tight. Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She answers. "Janice." A pause. Then, a calm voice. "You're making this difficult." Janice straightens. "Who is this?" "Someone advising you," the voice replies. That word again. Advising. Janice grips the phone. "Say what you want." "Step back from Mr. Volkov," the voice says. "No." Janice answers. A short silence. Then, "You're pregnant." "Think carefully." That crosses a line. Janice's voice hardens. "Don't bring my child into this." The call ends. She stares at the screen. Another message comes in. No name. Final warning. Janice looks up at the door. Someone stands outside, not moving. So how far are they willing to go? Janice opens the door fast. The hallway is empty, but the air feels watched. She steps out, looks both ways. Nothing. Then she notices it. A small black camera above the exit sign, tilted slightly, not part of the usual setup. Janice studies it. Since when? She mutters. A nurse passes quickly. Since this morning, I think. That timing is not random. Janice walks toward the nurse's station. 2 administrators stand there, speaking low. They stop when she approaches. Anything I should know? Janice asks. One forces a smile. Just routine updates. Janice doesn't believe it. Her phone buzzes again. Another message. Last chance. She looks up. Across the hall, Volkov stands at the far end, watching. Not angry, not loud, just waiting. Janice grips her badge. Because now, it's clear. This isn't pressure anymore. So what happens when waiting turns into action? Clear room 2. Now, Volkov says across the lobby. It's louder this time. More people, more eyes. Janice stands at the nurse's station, chart in hand. She doesn't move. That room is occupied, she says. Volkov steps forward. Not anymore. That word spreads tension fast. A patient's family turns to watch. Staff slow down again. Janice sets the chart down. He's still critical. Volkov's tone hardens. My client arrives in 5 minutes. Janice answers without hesitation. Then your client waits. A sharp silence hits. One nurse shifts closer to Janice. Then another, small, but it matters. Volkov notices. His eyes narrow. You're encouraging this? He asks. Janice shakes her head. I'm doing my job. That line lands in front of everyone. Pause for a second. Would you risk your job to do the right thing? Volkov steps even closer. Because now, this is no longer just between them. Move him, Volkov says again. Slower. Janice turns toward room 2. The monitor beeps steady, but fragile. She looks back at Volkov. No, that answer echoes. A man in a suit enters behind Volkov. Private client. 2 guards follow. Is this the delay? The client asks. Volkov gestures at Janice. Temporary. Janice steps forward. He can't take this room. The client frowns. I pay for priority. Janice nods. Not over a life. A guard steps in. We'll handle this. 2 nurses move beside Janice. Not touching, just there. That shifts the line. Volkov studies the group. You're all choosing her? No one answers. No one steps away. Janice speaks. We choose the patient. That lands in front of everyone. Volkov's jaw tightens. He turns to the client, then back to Janice. Last time, he says. Janice doesn't blink. What happens when he runs out of patience? Volkov steps into Janice's space. You're forcing this. Janice holds her ground. You already did. The client checks his watch. I don't wait. Janice points to the monitor. He can't move. A guard reaches for the bed rail. We'll move him carefully. Janice blocks him. Don't touch him. That draws a clear line. Another nurse steps in. We're not doing this. A doctor hesitates at the doorway. We need authorization. Volkov cuts in. You have it. Janice shakes her head. Not from me. The room tightens again. The patient's oxygen dips. The alarm chirps. Janice moves fast. Increase flow. Now, hands follow her orders. Volkov watches the team choose her again. His control slips. Just a little. He leans close. You're finished here. Janice answers without turning. Not yet. That refusal lands hard. So what does he do when words stop working? Volkov's hand lifts, then stops. Not here. Not yet. He steps back instead. Fine, he says. Too calm. That calm feels worse. He turns to his aide. Call administration. The aide dials immediately. Janice keeps working. Pressure holding. Stay with me, she tells the patient. The client scoffs. This is unacceptable. Janice doesn't look at him. So is moving him. More staff gather at the doorway now. Quiet. Watching. A senior administrator arrives, breath short. What's happening? Volkov answers first. Remove her. Now. All eyes shift to Janice. She straightens. He's not being moved. The administrator hesitates, looks at Volkov, then at the patient. That pause stretches. Volkov's voice drops. Make a decision. Janice steps forward. I already did. That draws the line in front of everyone. The administrator opens his mouth, but no words come out. So who does he choose? The administrator exhales. We follow protocol. Volkov's eyes lock on him. I am protocol. That tension splits the room again. Janice steps in before anyone else can speak. Then say it clearly. All eyes turn. Say you're moving a critical patient for money, she adds. That lands hard. No one looks comfortable now. The administrator swallows. We need to review. No, Janice cuts in. Now. Silence. The monitor beeps steady behind her. That sound matters. A nurse speaks up. Quiet but firm. He can't be moved. Another nods. Then another. That support builds fast. Volkov sees it. His jaw tightens. The administrator looks around. Then at Volkov. Then back at Janice. I won't authorize it, he says. That changes everything. Volkov goes still. Not angry. Not loud. Just cold. Because now, this isn't control anymore. So what happens when he takes this public? Everyone out here. Now, Volkov says, voice raised. The lobby turns. Conversations stop. Phones lift again. Janice steps out from the hallway, wiping her hands. She sees the crowd first, then him. You want this public? She asks. Volkov spreads his arms. It already is. That pulls more people in. Patients, visitors, staff. A circle forms without anyone calling it. Volkov points at her. This is the nurse delaying care. Murmurs spread fast. Janice steps forward. I'm treating critical patients. He laughs once. You're blocking priority access. A woman in the crowd whispers, is that true? Janice answers clearly. No one jumps the line over a life. That divides the room. Volkov steps closer. You think you decide that? Janice holds his gaze. Yes. Gasps. A few nods. The pressure rises. Because now, everyone is watching. So how far will he go to break her in front of them? Volkov's voice rises. You hear that? She decides who lives first. The crowd shifts. Phones tilt closer. Janice steps forward. I follow medical priority. Volkov points at her badge. You hide behind that. Janice shakes her head. I stand by it. A man in the crowd speaks up. My mother waited 2 hours. Volkov turns to him. Because of her. That lands. Janice faces the man. Your mother was stable. He is not. A nurse brings a chart. Vitals confirm. Volkov cuts in. Excuses. Janice doesn't raise her voice. Facts. A guard moves closer. Tension climbs. Volkov circles her. You're incompetent. Janice stays still. You're wrong. Murmurs split the crowd. Volkov leans in. Say you're sorry. Janice meets his eyes. No. That refusal echoes. Because now it's personal. So what does he do when she won't bow? Volkov's smile disappears. Say it, he repeats. Louder. Janice stands still. No. The crowd tightens. Phones rise higher. Volkov turns to them. This is who you trust. A few nod. Others hesitate. He points at her again. She disobeys orders. Janice answers fast. I follow protocol. He steps closer. You follow yourself. Janice doesn't move. I follow the patient. That line lands. A woman in scrubs steps beside Janice. Then another. Small support. Visible. Volkov notices. His tone sharpens. You're all risking your jobs. No one steps back. Janice speaks. Calm. We're doing our jobs. That builds the line stronger. Volkov's patience breaks. Enough. He reaches out suddenly. Grabs her arm. The crowd gasps. Janice pulls free. Don't touch me. That warning hangs. Volkov's eyes darken. Because now, this is about control. So what happens when he crosses the line? Volkov steps in again. Too close now. Last chance, he says. Voice low but sharp. Janice doesn't step back. I'm done repeating myself. The crowd leans in. No one speaks. Volkov's hand lifts. Quick, sudden. A few people shout, "Hey!" Too late. The slap cracks across her face. The sound echoes through the lobby. Gasps explode. A phone drops. Someone curses. Janice's head snaps to the side. She stumbles half a step. Her hand goes straight to her stomach. Silence hits hard after the noise. Volkov lowers his hand slowly, adjusts his cuff, like nothing happened. Janice steadies herself, breath tight, eyes locked on him. A nurse whispers, "He just hit her." No one moves. No one stops him. For 1 second, he owns the room. Then, a voice cuts through everything. "Step away from her." Who just said that? Who said that? Volkov snaps, turning fast. The crowd parts again, not by force, by instinct. Shoes hit the floor, steady, controlled, no rush. Janice steadies herself, still holding her stomach. Her eyes shift past Volkov. The man steps forward, tall, focused, calm. "I did," he says. Volkov laughs once. "Another hero?" The man stops 2 steps away. Step back. No emotion, just command. Volkov smirks. "You don't give me orders." The man doesn't react. "You already crossed the line." That lands in the silence. A guard whispers, "Who is he?" No answer. The man's eyes flick to Janice. Then, back to Volkov. "You touch her again," he says. "And this ends differently." That shifts the room. Volkov studies him. Something feels off now, because, for the first time, someone isn't afraid. So, who is he really? "Who are you?" Volkov asks, voice sharper now. The man doesn't answer. He steps closer instead. Janice watches him from behind, still steadying her breath. Volkov smirks. "You walk in here and start giving orders?" The man replies, calm, "I'm stopping you." That lands harder than expected. Volkov glances at the crowd, at the phones, then back at him. "You think this scares me?" he asks. "No," the man says. "I think you're used to no one pushing back." That hits. A few people shift. Someone whispers, "He's right." Volkov's jaw tightens. Careful. The man doesn't move. Step away. Silence builds again. Janice looks between them. Something feels different now. Volkov steps forward, close enough to challenge. "You don't belong here," he says. The man leans slightly in. "Neither do you," he replies. That line cuts deep, because now, this is no longer just about Janice. So what happens next? Volkov laughs, sharp and short. "You're bold." The man doesn't react. Step back. That command stays steady. Volkov glances at Janice, at her hand on her stomach, back to the man. "You know her?" he asks. A pause. The man answers, quiet. "Enough." That word carries weight. Janice watches him closely now, trying to place him. Volkov circles slightly, then take her and leave. The man doesn't move. No, that refusal shifts everything again. A guard whispers, "Sir, maybe we should." Volkov raises a hand. The guard stops. Control still matters to him. Volkov steps closer. "You're standing in my hospital." The man replies, "You're standing in a public space." That lands. Murmurs grow. Volkov's patience cracks again. "You're testing me." The man nods once. "You've already failed." That hits harder than anything so far, because now, this is direct. So how far does he go next? Volkov steps forward, chest to chest now. "Watch your tone." The man doesn't move. "Watch your hands." That reminder cuts through the room. Janice shifts behind them, eyes locked on Volkov. The crowd leans in. No one leaves. Volkov points at Janice. "She caused this." The man replies, "You caused it." That lands clean. A phone flashes. Someone records from close range. Volkov notices. His voice rises. "Turn that off." No one listens. The man speaks again. "You've said enough." Volkov laughs, louder now. "You think you control this?" "No." The man says, "I stop it." That line shifts the air. Volkov's hand lifts again. Not fast. Deliberate. The room holds its breath. Janice steps forward. Don't. Too late. His hand moves. The man catches his wrist midair. Gasps explode. Because now, he didn't just swing. So what happens when someone stops him? Volkov freezes, his wrist locked in the man's grip. For a second, no one breathes. Let go, Volkov says, low, dangerous. The man doesn't. Not until you step back. That control shifts the room. Volkov tries to pull free. Nothing. His eyes flick to the crowd, to the phones. This is not going his way. Release me, he snaps. The man tightens slightly. Say you're done. That demand lands harder than the grab. Janice watches, heart racing, but she doesn't step in. Volkov's jaw tightens. You don't give me orders. The man leans in, voice quiet. You already lost that right. That line hits deep. A guard steps forward, stops again. No one knows who to follow. Volkov yanks harder. Still nothing. Because now, force isn't working. So what does he try next? Volkov stops pulling, changes tactics. His voice drops. You're making a mistake. The man holds his wrist steady. You already made one. That answer lands in front of everyone. Volkov glances at the cameras, at the guards, at the staff. Then he smiles, slow, controlled. You think this ends here? He asks. The man doesn't react. It ends when you step back. Janice steps closer now, close enough to be seen. Let him go, she says quietly. The man glances at her, just for a second. That moment matters. Volkov notices it. You hesitate, he says. That's weakness. The man looks back at him. No, that's restraint. That hits harder. Silence stretches again. Volkov exhales slowly. Fine, he says. The man releases his wrist, but no one relaxes, because that fine feels wrong. So what is he about to do next? Volkov adjusts his sleeve. We're done here, he says. No one believes him. Phones stay up. The circle doesn't break. Janice stands straight now, her cheek red, her hand still near her stomach. The man steps slightly in front of her, not blocking, just present. Volkov glances at him. You're still here? The man answers, calm. You're not leaving. That lands. A guard moves in, hesitates again. Volkov exhales. This is a hospital, not a courtroom. The man replies, you made it public. That reminder shifts the room. A woman in the crowd speaks. We saw everything. Another voice adds, he hit her. The pressure builds from all sides. Volkov looks around, measures the room. Then he smiles, controlled. You think this matters? He asks. The man doesn't blink. It already does. Janice watches both of them, because something is changing fast. So what happens when control slips in public? Volkov turns to security. Clear the cameras. Now, no one moves. A guard answers. Careful. We can't do that, sir. That refusal lands. Volkov's eyes narrow. You work for me. The guard holds his ground. We work for the hospital. That shift is visible. Phones keep recording. A woman steps closer. Say that again, she tells Volkov. He ignores her. Looks at the man. You're escalating this. The man replies, you started it. That keeps the pressure on him. Janice steadies her breath. A patient still needs care. She turns to leave. Volkov's voice snaps. You're not walking away. Janice stops, turns back. Watch me. That line lands in front of everyone. A nurse moves beside her. Then another. Support grows. Volkov sees it. His control slips again, because now, he's not the only one making moves. So what does he try next? Volkov reaches into his pocket, pulls out his phone. End this, he says into it. Now, the call is short, too short. He hangs up and looks at the man. Let's see how long you stand here. That threat hangs. The man doesn't react. I'm not the one on a clock. That lands. Across the lobby, 2 more suits enter, not hospital staff. They scan the room. Eyes land on Volkov first, then the man. Janice notices. Who are they? She whispers. The man doesn't answer. The new arrivals move closer, slow, direct. Volkov smiles again. There it is. The man shifts slightly, still calm. One of the suits stops. looks at the man, then at Volkov. Something feels off, because they don't move the way Volkov expects. Janice watches closely. The room tightens again, because now, new players just stepped in, so who are they here for? The two men stop between Volkov and the crowd, not facing Janice, not facing the man, facing Volkov. Mr. Volkov, one says, voice firm. That alone shifts the room. Volkov's smile fades. You're late. The man replies, we're on time. That answer lands wrong. Volkov glances at his aide. No signal back. The second man speaks. We need a word. Volkov straightens. Not here. The first man shakes his head. Here works. Phones tilt closer. The circle tightens. Janice watches. Something just flipped. Volkov lowers his voice. You don't do this in public. The man answers, you shouldn't have either. That line cuts. The calm man beside Janice doesn't move, just watches. Volkov's control cracks again. This isn't going his way. So who called them in? Volkov glances at the exits, then at the cameras, then back at the two men. Handle it quietly, he says. One of them shakes his head. We don't do quiet. That answer lands hard. The crowd leans in. Phones steady. Janice steps back half a step. The calm man stays beside her. Volkov's voice tightens. You're making this worse. The man replies, you already did. That line echoes. Volkov looks at the calm man. You called them. The man doesn't answer. Janice looks between them. Pieces don't fit yet. The second man speaks. We need identification. Volkov scoffs. You know who I am. The first man holds his gaze. We need it anyway. Silence stretches. Volkov doesn't move, because now he's being asked to prove himself, and that never happens to him. So what happens if he refuses? Volkov doesn't reach for his ID. I don't answer to you, he says. The first man steps closer. Today, you do. That line lands. The calm man beside Janice finally moves. He reaches into his jacket. Slow, deliberate. Volkov watches closely. Another badge? He mocks. The man ignores him. He flips it open. The metal catches the light. Silence hits hard. One of the suited men stiffens. Sir. The other nods immediately. Everything shifts. Volkov's smirk fades. What is this? The man steps forward, holds the badge higher. Federal jurisdiction, he says. Calm. Clear. That changes the room. Security straightens. Staff. Stop whispering. Janice looks at him again. Really looks, this time. Something clicks. Volkov's voice tightens. You're bluffing. The man meets his eyes. Try me. That lands harder than anything before. This isn't a standoff. So who is he really? The suited men straighten at once. Agent, one says. That word spreads through the crowd. Volkov's eyes narrow. Agent of what? The man closes the distance. Enough to stop you. That answer lands. Janice watches him, trying to connect the pieces. The second suited man speaks into his radio. Confirm presence. We have escalation. More pressure builds. Volkov scoffs, but it sounds forced. You walk in here with a badge and think this changes things? The man doesn't blink. It already did. Security shifts position. Now they face Volkov, not the man. That flip is clear. A nurse whispers, he's not alone. Volkov glances around. The room is no longer his. The man lowers his voice. Identify yourself. Volkov hesitates. Just a second. But everyone sees it. Because now, confidence is slipping. So, what happens when he's no longer in control? Volkov reaches slowly into his jacket. For the first time, it's not confidence. It's caution. He pulls out his ID, holds it up. The agent doesn't take it. State it, he says. That command lands. Volkov exhales. Arkady Volkov. No titles. No control. The agent nods once. Noted. That word feels official. The suited men exchange a look. One steps closer. We've had prior flags, he says quietly. Volkov snaps. Watch your words. The agent cuts in. You're in public. Choose them carefully. That shuts him down. Janice watches everything. The shift is real now. The crowd senses it too. No one whispers anymore. They listen. The agent steps closer. You made physical contact. Volkov stiffens. It was nothing. A voice from the crowd cuts in. We saw it. Phones lift higher. Because now, it's not just his word. So what happens when evidence turns against him? Phones angle closer. Screens glow. I got it. Someone says. The agent looks at Volkov. You want to keep talking? Volkov glances at the cameras. Put those away, he snaps. No one listens. A woman steps forward. He hit her. Twice. That lands in the silence. Janice stands still, eyes steady, no retreat. The agent nods to the suited men, collects statements. They move fast. Names, times, clips. Volkov raises his voice. This is harassment. The agent answers, calm. This is documentation. Security shifts again, forming space around Volkov. The line is clear now. Volkov's tone tightens. You're overreaching. The agent steps closer. You're underestimating. That cuts. A nurse adds. She warned him. More voices follow. Because now, the room speaks back. So what happens when the crowd turns against him? Voices rise around him. We saw it. He hit her. The sound builds, not chaos. Pressure. Volkov turns, trying to regain control. Enough. No one stops. The agent steps forward. That's sufficient. The room quiets, but not for Volkov. For the record, the agent says, you made physical contact with a pregnant medical worker. That statement lands hard. Volkov exhales sharply. You're twisting this. The agent shakes his head. I'm documenting it. Janice stands behind him, still, strong. The agent glances back at her, then forward again. Arkady Volkov, he says, voice firm. You're now under formal investigation. Silence drops again. Volkov doesn't speak. For the first time, he has nothing to say. Because now, the shift is complete. So what happens when consequences finally begin? You'll be hearing from counsel, Volkov says, voice tight. The agent doesn't react. You already will. That answer lands. Security steps in, not to protect Volkov, to contain him. Sir, this way, a guard says. Volkov hesitates, looks at the crowd, at the cameras. No one looks away now. He straightens his jacket, tries to recover control. I'm not finished, he says. The agent replies, calm. You are here. That line ends it. Volkov turns and walks, not fast, not proud, just controlled. The doors close behind him. The room exhales. Janice stands still, processing everything. The agent turns to her. Are you okay? She nods once. I am now. That lands softly. A nurse steps closer. We've got you. More nods, more support. Because now, she's not standing alone. So what happens after the moment everyone saw? Janice, come with me, the supervisor says, voice softer now. No orders, no pressure. Janice walks beside him. The hallway feels different. Eyes follow her again, but not the same way. Respect replaces fear. They enter the office. The door closes. The supervisor exhales. We're filing a full report. Janice nods. Good. He looks at her. You did the right thing. That matters now. A moment passes. I should have backed you earlier, he adds. Janice holds his gaze. You can now. That lands. He nods slowly. I will. Her phone buzzes again. This time, a known number, HR. A message pops up. Administrative support approved. Paid leave if needed. Janice reads it once, then again. No threats, no warnings. That shift is clear. She looks up. Things changed fast. The supervisor answers, they had to, because now, everything is being watched. So what comes next for her? Janice steps back into the hallway. The noise returns, but softer now. A few nurses approach. You good? One asks. Janice nods. I am. Another hands her water. Take a minute. Janice takes it. Small pause. Needed. Down the hall, the agent waits. Alone now. She walks toward him. Thank you, she says. He studies her face. You didn't need me to stand your ground. That lands. Janice gives a small nod. But I needed someone to stop him. A pause. He exhales. I should have stepped in sooner. Janice shakes her head. You stepped in when it mattered. That closes something. He glances at her stomach. You should get checked. Janice smiles slightly, already planning to. That lightens the moment. Then she looks at him again. You still haven't said who you are. He holds her gaze, because now, that question matters more than before. So what does he finally reveal? He studies her for a moment, then nods. My name is Ilya Sokolov, he says. The name lands quietly. Janice searches his face. And he exhales once. Federal oversight. Short. Controlled. Janice tilts her head. That's not everything. He almost smiles. No. A pause. Then he adds, softer. I'm your brother. Silence. Hits. Janice blinks. What? Ilya. He repeats. Your mother's first son. That shifts everything again. Janice steps back slightly. Processing. You disappeared, she says. I was taken into federal protection, he replies. That answers more than it explains. Janice studies him again. Really looks now. Same eyes. Same calm. Pieces connect. You've been watching? She asks. He nods once, making sure you're safe. That lands deep. Janice exhales slowly. Because now, this wasn't random. So how long has he been there? Janice exhales slowly. All this time. You were close? Ilya nods. Close enough. She studies him. And you waited until now? He answers, steady. I waited until you needed me. That lands. Janice looks down, then back up. I didn't even know you were alive. I know, he says. That was the point. A pause stretches between them. Then she steps closer, not fully trusting, not distant either. You showed up, she says. I will keep showing up, he replies. That closes something. A nurse calls from behind. Janice, we need you. She turns, then looks back at him. I have work, she says. He nods. I know. Janice walks forward, back into the hospital. Stronger, seen, not alone. If this story moved you, like the video and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs this message. Because sometimes, standing your ground changes everything.